Awesome.
Love going live. Yeah. Oh man, that sounds like a good name for a franchise.
Going live.
Yeah, or I love going live.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, that studio that did that one really long running shonen just had that final movie. They probably don't have anything else to do. They could probably do an idol show.
Yeah. I think the funny part is they've already switched studios. It's like BMP instead of Studio Sunrise. So they've disavowed Gintama already. They're like, get out of here.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's some funny jokes about that. But yeah, I guess we are live and we're here talking about
a funny joke. Attack on Titan. It's a lighthearted comedy in case you're joining us for the first time today. Mikasa and Sasha did a lot of cute things today, as did Gabby. Yeah. Wanton murder. Very cute.
Super cute.
Love that for them. I also love that apparently Levi was trending on Twitter, and I was watching the episode. I'm like, does he even show up this episode? Is this like another Orikawa ear situation where like they just see his ear and then everyone just goes crazy on Twitter? But I am glad he did actually show up for the episode to do something worth trending over.
He did a little bit.
Yeah, not as much as Mikasa. She earned her trending on Twitter.
Yo, she was there. Yeah. Everyone was like, yo, now or never. Yo, I love that. That was such a dope moment. God, it was so cool.
Yeah, we're getting slightly ahead of ourselves. Thank you everyone for joining us. We got a really awesome crew today, and we have a very awesome episode to talk about. So for anyone who didn't read the title, we're talking about episode 6 of Attack on Titan, the final season. I believe the episode is called The Warhammer Titan. It has Warhammer in there somewhere. Not sure if it's it's in there. So today, I'm Shaw as usual, and today I'm joined by
as usual. Are there times
just today?
You're not Shaw?
Yeah, just today. Sometimes I'm not Shaw, but today I am Shaw. And I'm of course joined with Wonder Egg Priorite. I'm just calling you that now.
You're gonna call me that the full. Oh man, if I knew that, I would have changed my name to like Jugamu, whatever Scars and Bradley's real name is in the
bloopers.
The bloopers. The Rakugo bit.
Yeah, love that one. So thank you for coming back. And then we also have Moz, even though his username is Snowzilla instead of Mozilla, but he's still Moz.
Are you guys getting snow down there? Oh, nice.
Love that for you. I kind of wish we had snow. And then we are also joined by special guest and good friend Aleczandxr. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing pretty well. Hope everyone's doing the same.
Yeah, we're vibing. Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to talk with you because I think you're probably one of the bigger Attack on Titan fans I talk to on a regular basis.
Probably. Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Would you call yourself a Colossal fan?
I would call myself a Colossal fan. I would. Yep.
You just hear him dying as he says that. It's like already on this. We're already
one of the
starting.
first fans. Would you call yourself a founder?
Thank you, Kichi. Thank you for pointing that out.
Oh, they can't hear Maz.
Yeah, sorry. Whoops. Okay, got that sorted out already.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Also,
so AJ, you're a Colossal fan of Titan, and you have been for a while, right?
So it was actually my first ever anime. So it's always had a special place in my heart because of that. But I wouldn't say I became a huge fan until I read Return to Shiganshina, and then the anime adaptation of that, despite it having some flaws here and there, sort of made even a bigger impact on me. So that's when I became a huge favorite. And then so the past year or so, I've been like it's been right up there. So I'm a huge fan now.
That's awesome. And that's such a really compelling part. I feel like that's, like a really big selling point, even though it does have its issues with the adaptation, but just like that section of content in general is really when it like ramped up for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that tends to be the place for a lot of people. So it was definitely the case with me as well.
Yeah.
When I saw it like ramping up during that section, I was like really surprised. Especially because like I loved season 1 the first time I watched it, and then I tried rewatching it because I loved it so much. And then I was like, this pacing is awful. It really drags on you. Season 1, and then I started reading the manga. And then once we get to Return to Shinkansen, I was like, this quality jump, like right here, we're doing this right now. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I will say though, because I've been reading this monthly for a long time, it's been really interesting, like rewatching these things and not remembering what happens until it happens.
That's kind of a really nice feeling.
Yeah, that's part of the fun for me.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because I remember I had that a bit with Haikyuu where I like remembered like the big stuff that happened, but I forgot a lot of the in-between elements. So, I mean, I read this part like 2 months ago, I think. So I still essentially forgot everything that happened, at least in like a lot of the small things. But it is kind of tough for this arc because everything is kind of a big thing. Like there's a lot of action going on, a lot of developments, a lot of crazy shit happening left and right. So it's really cool to see it come to life. And, you know, we had like last week's episode was kind of building up towards this, and it had a really bombastic last scene. But this is kind of like full-time show, full-time everything. Everything's coming together.
Yeah,
so
it's hit the fan.
Yeah. Maz, I think you're the only non-source reader, so condolences.
Oh.
So what did you think of the episode thus far? Because this is all new to you.
I thought this was absolutely freaking sick.
Well, yeah.
We love to hear it.
I mean, just like let's think about what happened today, right? Like this episode, like Willie Tiber's dead, got eaten by Eren.
Yeah, he was he didn't last very long.
He got a few minutes at the beginning though.
Yeah. The breaking down with Maga.
Yeah.
About what they need to do. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the family stuff before that as well, which was anime original.
Oh, that made me so sad. Like I knew it was coming, but it's still really sad. Just small details like that always get me.
I really loved it because like it was such a juxtaposition of the scene that comes right after, because that one, like he comes off as like a family man, as someone who cares about his children and his wife and his family, and like he's doing all of this for the world, for his country, and like, oh, maybe he's a good guy. And then he's like, no, all those like fuckers over on Paradise Island are the devil. They're terrible. They should all die. And even the ones that are like, in our concentration camp, like fucking Eldians, they're like disposable. Like, don't like run out me now. Like, don't try like value them as human lives now, Commander Maga. Like,
I don't know. I found that like weirdly wholesome. Maybe not wholesome, but like weirdly. Okay.
Wait, yeah, Attack on Titan is Shaw's favorite cute girls doing cute.
It is. Yeah, you guys were joking then? What? No. So I kind of like that just because it kind of felt like he was feeling like he had to motivate the guy and say like, look, like you're treating me differently than you treat everyone in the concentration like ghetto camps. Like you've already sacrificed so many Eldian lives. What's one more if it's like myself? So it was kind of like putting himself on the same level as the everyday people, which I thought was kind of wholesome. But then again, he's referring to everyone as Eldian devils, which is not wholesome. So not that good. But I still like the sentiment behind it.
He also referred to his side as the devils. So it's like he's just like, we all suck. Everyone's bad.
Yeah, they said that in the end too.
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
So something I really liked about that is in the manga that actually happens at what would have been the beginning of episode 5, so last week's episode. But they switched it to this, so I guess transition straight into his corpse being flung into Eren's mouth. And I guess making a more effective introduction for the whole declaration and the play last episode. So that was really seamless for me. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but it didn't even feel like that was any different from what was originally intended.
Yeah, I really love that, especially since it was showing that like he kind of knew something like this would happen from the start. So it transitioned so well into like knowing that a declaration of war would happen, knowing that he would most likely die in this scene. But even then, his expectations were shook, as was everyone's.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was wild. Yeah, I mean, that was just such a bombastic start to the episode. And then we finally got to see who the Warhammer Titan was. And I tried to do a poll last week with Sinris and Sinric, Nyx, and Panic, and none of them had any idea who the Warhammer Titan would be. They just had absolutely
no one
no
got
idea.
that right.
Yeah, because I've been kind of like seeing what they would think is like the anime only perspective, and they've been like 0 for 5 thus far. So I kind of love that because it shows that like they're doing a good job of not revealing too much. Everything has still been surprising, and or they're just really bad at making predictions. Any of the above, but you know, it works out fine.
It could be. No one's perfect.
Is that the lead into something?
No, you know. So, Eren, it has to fight the Warhammer Titan afterwards because the Warhammer Titan is revealed to be the younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really great in the how they did it in the anime because you know like in so many shows, right, in so many mecha shows and Mahou Shoujo shows, like during the transformation scene, you're always like, man, why don't they just let him transform during that time period? Why don't they do something? And Eren just like fucking hit her with a right cross in the middle of her transformation.
That was great.
Wait, that's so true because you always are like, you're really just gonna give them this like 10-minute span to transform, and he's like, nope, no time. We're just going all in.
It kind of makes sense though, because based on the abilities we've seen of all the Titans, it seems like the Warhammer Titan is the one most capable of actually just fighting other Titans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
That did seem to be the strategy. Like, just don't even fight this thing. Just kill it before it transforms.
Yeah, and I think it also shows that I'm not exactly sure how much background information was given on the Warhammer Titan or how much I just forget, but I feel like it also just shows that like Eren and everyone else is just so much more accustomed to fighting Titans. It's like I feel like even the other like the Jaw Titan and the other warriors and warrior candidates, they're so used to being the only Titans that they're not used to actually fighting against them as enemies. Whereas like Eren and everyone, they've had to fight against Titans both as like soldiers and as fellow Titans from the get-go. So they kind of know all the ins and outs. Like they know how important the transformation part is. Like they already know what to expect.
Yeah, there were lots of different parts of this episode where it really showed the progress that Attack on Titan has made. Like just overall with its story and how information has progressed in this series. Because you think back to the female Titan and how long it took to figure out all of the specific things that it could do. And then you get to the Warhammer Titan and it's like, it took Eren 5 minutes to figure it all out. And,
yeah.
You know,
I also think that lends a lot of mystery and intrigue for the 4-year time skip in terms of what they've been doing. You know, have they been preparing for this sort of thing? So it's a bit of a hook for some gaps to be filled in later on.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know about you guys, if you guys had the same vibe, but watching this episode, it was such a great callback, at least maybe, you know, presentation and like tone wise, to the first episode of Attack on Titan when they were attacked out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and everyone's getting crushed by the rubble.
Everyone's getting crushed.
Yeah, this is their equivalent of the Colossal Titan and Armored Titans attacking.
Yeah, and that was like pretty obviously alluded to with the like final season official art.
The poster?
Where it's like, the poster where like Reiner was standing where Eren was, and then like Eren standing where the Colossal Titan was. Like the parallels were pretty obvious. But
I'm really stupid because I didn't realize that until you pointed it out.
No, I feel bad because I've just seen it so often.
I was just gonna be like, man, like, yeah, you're right, Sean. Attack on Titan is so subtle with its like, with its language, with its use of metaphors and imagery. Man, like Attack on Titan's like, you know, like when I think of like how subtle a message might be, the two things that come to mind immediately are Rakugo and Attack on Titan, like equal levels of subtlety.
But now you've become the bad guy of that joke.
Are we the bad? Am I the bad guy?
Yeah,
that's the theme of the episode. Are we the bad guys?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's because right after that, right when oh god, that scene where Eren's like Imada, Mikasa. Oh yeah, well yeah, Zofia being killed. Edo or what was his name? Udo. There we go. Edo, not the Edo period. Yeah, it's the Udo. Yeah, Udo dying as well. Yeah, that was pretty brutal. And Gabby having to like see everything, you know, like her equivalent of Hans. With the guards, the gate guards who were trying to protect her.
Gabby is Gabby's pretty much a direct parallel to Eren from the beginning of season 1. Like,
yeah, it's wild, but it works out so well, especially just seeing like everything in such a short amount of time, like seeing both her friends get killed, seeing both the guards she knew get killed, and then also seeing I'm not sure if it was exactly for this reason, but I think they turned away treating Udo because like he was a candidate or an Eldian. I wasn't sure if that was the exact reason that they turned him away, along with being like full of other patients.
Wouldn't everyone there have been an Eldian because they were?
Everyone was rushing there because they were. It was a mix of people. You know, they had all the world leaders, so I assumed it was just like a pop-up hospital and they had to take, you know, let's say like the more important people who were there. So I'm not sure if it's a factor, but I think it played a small part along with just being busy in general.
I thought it was. I mean, it might have been a factor, but I think the main thing was that they took a look at him and they just go, you know, he's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah.
I think they literally said that.
Yeah, it was both because
they said to Colt. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it was both because the hospital was full and also because he was bleeding out of his entire head.
Yeah, that's very true too.
Man, imagine living in a society where like emergency rooms and hospitals are full.
Imagine living in a society.
That would
be could it be us?
Whoops. Pretty bad.
Pretty unrealistic.
So Sophia and Udo are dead.
We don't get to hear Hinata anymore.
Oh, was he Nada?
Yeah, same voice actor.
Damn.
Oh wait, that makes sense. No, he didn't get to go to nationals. Hate when that happens. No.
Yo, I can't believe Oikawa was the Attack Titan all along.
The true war criminal. Yo, that's wild. And of course, the person she sees shooting the 2 guards is none other than the bloodthirsty, most savage killer, Sasha.
Yes, who loves potatoes and meat.
Reiner told her all about her.
Yeah. Bloodthirsty
She was
devil.
like, "Oh man, that's the one who like ate a potato and like tried to give half of it to the instructor, and it wasn't half. What a fucking monster!" Reiner was right.
That's just it is so funny because like, you know, it does a great job of illustrating the point of how like one person's comrade is another person's enemy, you know, on either side. But it's so funny just because we know Sasha so well from so many seasons, but from Gabby's point of view, it's so easy to understand how she's like, this is the monster attacking everyone I know. Like she's just destroying everything.
She's like the Berthold, the Reiner.
Yeah.
For Eren. Or the Smiling Titan. It's probably actually a more.
She's the Smiling Titan.
She's the Potato Titan.
Yeah, that would be.
And the shot where she's reflected in Gabby's eyes. That was super
love that. They've done so many good shots of just like eye details in general, even from like a couple episodes where like Annie was getting choked out by Reiner in that flashback. Like, they've done so many great shots. You got to give it up to Mappa doing a great job with like the really small details and capturing the emotions really well.
They're really bringing these characters to life during the quiet moments and you could argue how quiet Sasha like murdering people in cold-blooded. I think it's not cold-blooded. It's in the middle of a war.
Yeah.
But
and they make it kind of clear that I don't think they're like really down with what they're doing. Like Eren kind of gave them the orders, and they're kind of like, we're killing a lot of civilians. This is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and then you have Flock, who's like, bro, let's kill more.
Eren sent a message. He said, kill them all. Like.
Yeah, it is interesting that they kind of allude to it, Mikasa being like, or like Eren being like, oh, you guys showed up, and Mikasa like being like, yo, like you killed civilians, you can't go back from this.
And he's like, well, we're not done here. We got to keep killing. Let's go.
He's like, oh no. Anyway.
Yeah, and Jean kind of alludes to that too when he's talking to Flock. So it's clear that there's a lot of hesitancy there.
Yeah, I love when Flock was still saying like, we need to kill more, and he's like, we need to kill more. These are the guys who are responsible for our war. Like, we were eaten alive in there. And he's like, you're still on about that? It's like me talking to Tay about the Super Bowl wins. Like, you're still salty over that win. But I mean, it's a lot more understandable in their case why he would be so upset. But it also is interesting to show that Jean realizes that like what they're doing is wrong, despite the crimes done unto them by the same people.
What I thought was really interesting was I think twofold. One is that we didn't get to see Armin.
Mm-hmm.
And when this was happening, I was like, bro, you know who would be really convenient here? The colossal fucking Titan.
Yeah.
But it's also like one of those things where like, you know, like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So who knows what was going on there and if Armin will make his debut later this season.
Yeah.
And I also love that Levi wasn't using the grenade, the thunder sticks. He was still using his old classic Titan killing blades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I do have to admit, I know Tay is a very big Mikasa stan, and normally I'm a bit down on her sometimes. But I gotta say, when Aaron said, what did he say exactly? You said it in Japanese, and it sounded really
he says like Imala Mikasa, which is like now. He's like now.
Yeah. When he said that, that was the hypest shit. That was like, yes, let's go.
Like, oh man, I was like, oh, because right before they had that like really fast cut of like the people like going through the streets with their 3DMG, and that was so cool. It was like, oh shit, the gang's all here.
The gang's all here. And they do such a good job of showing how to like the Eldian citizens, these guys really do look like demons. Like they look like they're not scared. They're not scared of the Titan battle. They're causing all this destruction. Like they really do look like intimidating enemies.
Yeah. I guess skipping ahead towards close to the end, someone mentioned how clear it was that the Eldians and I guess the side we've come to know for 3 seasons or whatever have become so accustomed to fighting Titans and whatever. Porco at the end basically states that he's going, they're attacking me like straight on. I'm a Titan. Like they're really the devils of Parati or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they're approaching me instead of him coming to them. They're coming to me now.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And I do love how they highlight that like this is just kind of like another war, another Titan to take down for them. So it is interesting to see. And I don't know, it was just crazy. Just lots of crazy stuff going on. I did see a few grumblings, so to speak, about the CGI. I gotta admit, it didn't bother me. I was like pretty down with it. I thought it looks cool. I thought the 2 Titans looked cool.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the grumbling.
The grumbling.
If we're gonna call it that.
I don't know if we could keep coming up with words that rhyme with rumbling and using that as a way to describe it.
And Maz is like, it's like that scene in Community with the wingers and then the ab mentions, and then Maz is just Troy doing notches on the desk trying to fit in. But yeah, so we have the grumbling of people so angry at an animator who didn't even work on today's episode.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should explain that just for like slight context. Like it's not it's not like a super big deal, but like someone like had a conversation, so to speak, with like one of the animators complaining about the CGI, and it wasn't an animator who worked on the episode. So they're literally just adding some random animator being like, I don't like the CGI. And then they're like, bro, I didn't work on it. So this is like, I guess, the weekly reminder to not harass staff, especially the ones not working on it, but also especially the ones who are working on it. Like, just don't do that. It's stupid. It makes everyone look bad. Like, just don't do that. Even if you have a problem with like the CGI or animation or whatever, just like, don't do that.
Look, if you could do better than that, please do.
And even if you could do better, still don't bother them. Like, you might be really talented, but we don't care. So don't at them.
No, like I think it's been pretty well documented that this production schedule has been completely botched and everyone's overworked. So even if you're disappointed with the anime, the adaptation, if you hate it, I mean, criticism's always fair. You can go off if you want, but don't ever personally attack them. Like that's just way too much.
Yeah, it's so messed up, especially since we know they're making all of this under such a stressful time period. We know they have no control over it, so they really are doing the best they can. And, you know, overall, I think we're getting a really great product. Like, I think the fight was still really good, even though, like, CGI or not, I think it was pretty decent CGI. I don't think it was too jarring. I think it still got the intensity of the fight across. It got the, monstrosity of both Titans across and how hard hitting it was. So, I think it was pretty solid. I think it looked good.
I guess with regards to, I'm pretty I agree with you on most of that. I think I'm a little bit more critical. Just there were shots even aside from the Titans. A lot of it was really good and dynamic in terms of the 3D environments. There were some great shots of Mikasa just going off on the Warhammer Titan. But also there's been a lot of interviews about the ODM gear and how difficult that is to maneuver and animate and all of that.
Oh, right.
And they use some of the CG for that as well.
Yeah.
And so some cuts here and there stood out to me as kind of janky, and it didn't look great. I think there's some shots of Connie doing things. One from Jean from behind.
The John one stood out to me.
Yeah, so it's definitely not perfect. It definitely looks kind of wonky sometimes. But overall, it didn't take away from my enjoyment too much at all. And the grumbling, like the 6-hour period between, I guess, when the Raw gets released and when we get it subbed, it was way over the top from the old tweets I saw.
Yeah, we can now refer to this period of like everyone judging the episode before it actually drops as the grumbling. This will be a weekly thing.
It's perfect.
It's so perfect.
And the worst part of it, I think, is that like people have to realize like animators are people too, and like these animators are getting worked crazy tough on an insane production schedule. And it's also like in the middle of a pandemic, like I don't think people realize like not just how like demanding and how difficult and how taxing and the pressure that these animators must feel, knowing that they are inheriting the will of Wit Studio, knowing how many times has that scene of like Levi going through the streets, that 1 30-second cut, been shared around like on any social media site, like that? It's absolutely crazy. And like imagine you're like an overworked animator on Mappa Studio making probably less than a livable wage, and then you're like, now I also have to take shit from like weebs from the West.
Random Twitter user. Aaron did nothing wrong. Like, I don't think they need that. And it's like, it's so sad just because, as Deluxe said in chat, he said, these people do not see animators, they see a studio name. And I think that really is what it comes down to, is that they're not thinking about like the individuals who go into this production. They think Mappa versus Wit. As if, like, some of those people are working on both, as we heard of the one character designer who was just pulled into the production against his will. But, like, there's a lot of crossover, but, it's all people behind the scenes. So, try and keep in mind that it's tough and, just talk about it as an overall production and not like, oh, look, this person let me down because there's some CGI and it, it looks a bit iffy.
Also, like, be thankful we're in. I was just gonna say, be thankful we're in 2021 when CGI's like made leaps and bounds. Like, imagine how even worse it would have looked like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, like X-Arm.
Oh yeah, the Crunchyroll original. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
They're really punishing us for not liking the High Guardian Spice. They're like, well, if you guys thought this was bad, we'll show you worse. And then they've continued to do that. So, cheers to Crunchyroll. Good job. I understand.
They're getting a lot of people to talk about their website.
They are.
If you believe in all press is good press, then wow, they are getting a lot of good press about XL.
Yeah, completely unrelated, but I ended up watching part of the what is it called? The Mortal Kombat movie from like the early 90s. And speaking of like bad CGI, I was watching that and I was like, yeah, this looks like really bad. I can't believe how far we've gotten with CGI. So watching that and then watching Attack on Titan, I'm like, there's no way any of the CGI will bother me. There's no way. So I appreciate Mortal Kombat. Thank you for helping me appreciate Attack on Titan unintentionally. But yeah.
AJ, I think I cut you off there just because I wanted to get on my little my podium there. So
I forgot. I forgot. It's okay.
Oh.
But something else I thought of is with regards to everyone complaining about the CGI. I think they're going to be in for a ruder awakening next week because I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, the Beast Titan was the worst presented CGI model. And I guess this is a little bit of spoiler, but it was in the pre. I guess I already said it, but
keep moving forward.
It was in. I'll keep moving forward. It was in the preview for next week that the Beast Titan's going to be in the next episode. And I don't think that's going to look as smooth as a lot of people are hoping. So, I don't know.
Keep your chill on the grumbling for another week because we're in for a bigger.
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. This is my hot take, but so when I saw the Beast Titan, I thought, I guess I do agree that he's probably the least smooth in terms of CGI, but I also never thought the Beast Titan looked that good to begin with, even at his best. So for me,
he's got a bit of a gut. He's got a bit of a bear gut, you know.
It's like interesting.
He's got like the dad bod going on.
The dad bod of Titans. It's like a really I get what they're going for, but it was never aesthetically pleasing to me, even as spooky Titan. I just think the proportions are so weird. So part of this for me is always kind of like suspension of disbelief that the Titans will probably not look good because they, sometimes they look terrifying, but sometimes they just look kind of goofy to me. So I think that's also why I'm a bit more able to accept, CGI Titans compared to other people.
Go on.
I totally get that. I think the main, the best shots of the Beast Titan in the anime are the static ones, that are really detailed from season 2 and 3. When it's in motion, it kind of lumbers when it walks. It's not very threatening unless it's throwing the rocks. So I get that too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I actually thought the Armor Titan looked pretty good in previous episodes. Like with the Armor Titan, I thought they did a decent job with the CGI. Just to give them credit.
Yeah, I do like. I think I like his design so much as CGI that I just kind of overlook the other ones too. And I think the Jaw Titan doesn't look too. I think they look fine. Also, it's our first introduction for that style of Jaw Titan, so we don't have much to compare it with.
Right, and the Core Titan looks fine too. It's really just the Beast Titan and some of the 3D ODM gear, and I don't know. It's just tough. I mean, some of the Levi cuts did look nice. They weren't like top tier AoT kind of cuts, but some of the ones of Levi going through looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
There was a great cut of the Warhammer, materializing another hammer in its arm. I think after Mikasa attacked it or something. There's a great shot.
Yeah, I remember that one. That looked wild. Yeah, I think it is interesting because I was thinking back to the season 3, the specific Levi cut that we always mention that's always posted on Twitter that I admittedly always watch whenever it's posted. I'm every time. Yeah, wait, I'm posting. Look at me. It's oh yeah, best fight scene, let's go. But just seeing those, it's always a nice reminder that those are a minute out of an entire episode, and I think sometimes people only remember the minute section that was really good and maybe forget the rest of the episode. But I think we're almost gonna have the exact opposite when it comes to these episodes where it's we remember the atmosphere and the feeling and how everything was presented, and we might not have a minute and a half of Sakuga, but we will have the feelings we felt and the intensity of how everything was presented. So I feel that's a net win, so I'm happy with it, even if we don't have the same level of cool fight scenes and smooth animation.
Maybe the real Sakuga were the moments we felt along the way.
They were the eye shots of Annie getting choked out by Reiner. That was the true friendship.
Yeah. Oh, in the Warhammer fight. So let's talk a little bit about that. AJ, you mentioned that. How'd you guys feel that how they handled the Warhammer fight, especially Maz? I want to get your take. You mentioned how they handled it so quickly and they've gotten so much better. Did you like that pacing? Did you want it to go a little longer? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I was fine with it overall because I do think it has the most exciting abilities out of any Titan we've seen so far. Because, like I said, this seems like the one that's most made for combat, and I think it's a really cool twist on the powers that we've seen with Titan so far. Like we know about the hardening abilities that they have, but now this is taken into a very different context where not only do they have kind of this armor on their bodies, but also they use this power to create weapons, and that's so far Titans have only been using themselves to fight. So now the fact that there's a Titan that's using something else to fight, that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I agree. I think the pacing for it is pretty good. I do remember it being longer in the manga, but I think that is also just how it was spread out. Probably. In general. Yeah, but like if the fight ends beginning of next episode or middle of next episode, I'm totally fine with it too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I do think there is a lot more potential with the Warhammer's abilities, and we've only seen it do a couple of things so far. So when Aaron was about to eat it, I'm like, okay, this does seem like a little bit sudden. Like there's no way this Titan is going to be eliminated right off the bat. But then the jaw came in to intercept Titan.
Chomp.
Yeah, and then Levi came in to intercept the jaw, and it was like, oh shit! And now they're all gonna fight. It was great.
I love how immediately he was like, "Oh fuck, is that Ackerman? Is that the guy?"
He's like, "I'm so fucked."
He's like, "Get me the fuck out of here!"
Yeah, when
everybody gangsta until Levi shows up.
That's so true. I just want like a compilation of like Levi scaring the shit out of everyone in the show.
Like
Zeke would be most of that.
Yeah,
Zeke being like, "Oh, like why are these like little people like running at me? Hey, why are the Titans to my side like dead? Oh no, is that tiny little person Levi?"
Oh my god. I remember like seeing that for the first time and not knowing what the plan was, and just the sudden realization that like the plan was literally hundreds of people distracting him so he could go and kill every Titan just to take him down is actually just the most ridiculous shit. And that's kind of like the same over-the-top plan that we saw happen today in this episode. And I just kind of love that. Like, these ridiculous over-the-top plans, that seeing them in action just feels like epic beyond proportion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love when Zeke is like, he's like got all his limbs cut off. He's on the cart Titan. He's like trying to negotiate with Aaron. And he's like, "Oh fuck, it's Levi. All right, I'm out. Bye."
He says it's a draw at that point. He goes, "Let's just call it a draw, Levi."
It's just a draw, bro. It's just a draw.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's some good shit.
This is good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have,
Sorry, I was gonna kind of change the subject, but if you
go ahead.
Go.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of touched on it, but I was just curious about what you guys thought of the season, how the season's handled overall, like in terms of, I guess, direction and I guess flow and pacing, that sort of thing. What you guys thought about it?
Teddy, do you want to go? Because I haven't heard your thoughts specifically on like in a couple episodes.
Oh no, do people want to hear my thoughts?
Yeah. It depends. We'll find out.
Is that a
threat? Someone in the comment sections for one of the previous videos, for context, will track down my mouth, post it in the comments, and they were like, "What the fuck? This guy's giving like 6 and 7s the whole way. Like, why?
A real fake fan."
Wow.
Yeah, it's essentially like the other guy is Levi and you're Zeke. Like, that's kind of the dynamic we have.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's a draw. It's a 7. I promise. And before all the Attack on Titan fans start flooding my mentions and start their own grumbling.
Yeah, the grumbling against A.
Yeah, so many paths to grumbling. But with regards to Attack on Titan and how they've done this season so far, I don't know how to better explain it. Then it's like, do people care if I spoil a part of The Last of Us, the first game?
I don't care.
I don't care.
Okay. There's a part in the first game, the first installment of The Last of Us, where you've been playing as Joel, the guy, the older man, throughout the entire game, and then at a certain point, he gets hurt, and the perspective changes, and you have to play as Ellie, and you don't know what's going on with Joel at the time. You're just like, okay, I just gotta like move forward. I gotta get rid of these zombies. I gotta like forage for stuff, and like this whole time, you're just like kind of just like wanting to go back and like drag the story back to what's going on with Joel. But the important part that the story is taking you through is that you have to focus on what Ellie's going through and her development. And that's kind of how I felt with this season. Like this entire time, I'm just like, please just take us back to like the actual main characters. Please take us back to Eren, Mikasa, Levi, with that story. And for parts of it, I felt like it's been a mix. I feel like one of the reasons I feel that way is the pacing feels like a mix of some things being really rushed and some things taking a little too much time. But with the benefit of hindsight, when I think about it, I'm really appreciative of the character development that they've given a lot of these individuals, especially Gabby. The way that we've only had like how many episodes with Gabby now? 5? 6?
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
We've only had like really 5-6 episodes, and she hasn't even been like a main character in all of them, right? Like last week, she was barely in it. She only got like beat in a foot race by Falco. That's the main thing she did. While saying she's also like super cute or whatever. But like when we see all these people around her that she cared about, that cared about her die, we feel for Gabby. When we see Udo get like crushed by these boulders, when we see Zofia like just her legs, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crushing, it's devastating. Even though like we should be rooting for the quote unquote actual main characters coming from parody who we've been through for like 60 something episodes at this point, right? And years, and all of a sudden, like as people have said in chat, it's very much like not just the characters dawning on themselves like, are we the baddies, but us being like, are they the baddies?
Yeah.
And I think the thing that really comes into this is with the direction, and I think the way they've like framed Reiner, the amount, like, I mean, it's always like sunset in Eldia, apparently in Liberio.
Yeah.
It's always sunset. I feel like it's always like the day is just ending. It's got like a pink, purple sky, orange sky, and like Reiner's like either taking kids out to a festival or putting a gun in his mouth.
Same thing,
Yeah, and then but you get to see the real struggle and the depression that he's going through, and they also continue to keep all the little Easter eggs of like Eren being in the background, like him being on that roof in one of the earlier episodes, and they don't really frame him as a main character. Early on, they kind of frame him as just being like a side character because we're not supposed to know that he's a main character.
Yeah.
So the way they've handled this this adaptation, the way they've presented it, and I think the music has been good too. I know a lot of people.
It's been really good, I think.
Yeah, the score and soundtrack has been phenomenal. And I think the moments hit really right. I think a lot of people last week, they had some grumblings about the music that was played when Eren turned into the Attack Titan.
Yeah, that was me.
Yes. But for me, I thought that the way they did it in the episode was good, because until that point, if you're an anime only, I don't know, Maz, you can probably speak better to this, but it's like, did you think that Eren was going to be a bad guy and he was just gonna like murder like innocent civilians and just be like, all right, fuck it, like, I'm sorry, like, because leading up to it, he's like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, you had no choice, they told you that we were the devil, what, you were a child, what could you have done? And like shakes his hand. What did you think was going to happen from that point?
I don't know. I really.
It's hard to see what he's actually thinking with this sort of deadpan approach to things.
Like, I mean, I could see him doing like the bad things that he's doing, but I think the way he talks is clear that he does feel, I guess, regretful about it.
Mm-hmm. So when people were putting like the hype music and like villain-esque music over that scene, I feel like it works better if you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but if you
that's
don't
true.
know what's going to happen and you're just like, oh shit, like he's actually doing this, like right here, right now, he's doing this. I think the sudden like switch and the sudden like blare of the soundtrack at that moment and it's still a good track, I want to say.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I thought that indicated that shift in his personality or like his mindset as opposed to what we might have thought he would do better.
Yeah, and there are definitely a lot of anime onlys who didn't see it coming. I did see that sentiment spread around of like, oh, I didn't think it was coming because he shook his hand, but no, then it happens. And it's not for me to tell because I always knew it would happen because I've seen that one manga spread like years, for years. So I always knew that was coming. But no,
Yeah,
I think that's...
the main people complaining about that were, I think, people who read the manga. I don't think many anime onlys really cared too much about that.
Yeah, which is good, because I had, like, slight grumblings, but not, like, full-fledged grumblings about it. I thought it was, like, it could have been better, but it wasn't, like, episode-ruining by any means, and it was still a good scene. But, yeah, I think they've done a really good job so far. I think it's interesting to hear that, Tay, too, because, like, you had read the manga, and I think you complained that, like, the pacing was tough, at least reading on a monthly basis, and now to see how, like, they kind of sped it up really quickly, it's kind of, like, both ends of the extreme. But... yeah, I mean, I always found this arc really interesting conceptually. I definitely had heard a lot more about it before I had gotten into it, and I definitely really enjoy it. And I do think that the directing is playing a huge part in capturing the conflicting emotions and, the different feelings and perspectives we get from this other country and from Reiner in particular. I think I probably have to rewatch this episode, but I still think episode 3 might be my favorite thus far, just for, perfectly capturing everything. So, I mean... it's been really great for me thus far. I don't have like major complaints and everything has been really cool. I even love Willy a bit more than I did in the manga.
Really?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I feel like there's something about like the way they framed him and his voice actor that have really like made his character click with me, because I always heard people talking about him and I'm like, okay, he's cool, but like I don't care that much. But now I'm like, okay, I get it. He has an important role even though it's a short role, and I definitely appreciate what we got from him thus far. Yeah, but what about you, AJ?
In terms of what I asked you guys?
Yeah.
I've really liked it. In terms of all of that, there are little complaints I have with probably every episode, but the directing, like you're right that there are sunsets every episode, but in general, I think the use of color has been really good, really variable, especially in comparison to a lot of the things from season 3, which didn't have as diverse or good looking of a color palette. Episode 2 had a lot of really fluid and dynamic shots, lots of cinematic stuff. Episode 3 was really bold with the sort of stream of consciousness way they did it. Yeah, I just think the whole thing's really got a lot of creativity and dynamism to it, and I really like it, and it's making me like for sure season 3 less than I used to, which is kind of unfortunate, but
why is that?
But no, yeah, because in comparison, it's just a lot more effective, I think. It's the sort of thing where people would complain about certain things with season 3, but it wouldn't really bother me, and it still doesn't. But it's kind of just seeing this whole Marley side, this whole Marley arc being adapted this way, with so many great shots and so much good music placement and that sort of thing. It makes me think about, how could it have been better in certain instances in season 3, and then that kind of lowers my enjoyment of that one a little bit. But yeah, overall, I've really liked it. No adaptation's perfect, but overall, yeah, it's been great for me.
Do you think this one could surpass like season 1 in terms of like overall experience, or do you think that's kind of like, kind of unreachable at this point?
Season 1's not actually even my favorite one, so I think it could.
Oh, nice.
In terms of an adaptation, it's hard to say. I think season 1 will elevate the source material more than any other season, because I just think they're the weakest arcs in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
But in terms of the overall experience, the source material plus this adaptation being good, I think I'll like it. If this sort of thing continues, I think I'll like it more than season 1 probably.
Yeah.
Season 1 is reachable.
Yeah, I agree. I think this also does have like the strongest content thus far. I'm interested to see how they split up the content for each episode. If we're getting, I've heard other grumblings, more positive grumblings about potentially getting movies afterwards. I don't know if that's confirmed because I don't think I've ever seen a source for that. I've just seen people bring it up as if that was like a thing happening. So
yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, like they should do a Demon Slayer. Like they should just do like a do a movie. Like obviously that's going to make so much money. I'm like, Demon Slayer, like Attack on Titan's really popular, but I feel like people fail to understand how popular Demon Slayer is sometimes. Like the scale is just.
And also, I don't know if they understand that like they don't necessarily want to do movies. Like that has happened, and as we mentioned like a bit ago, they're doing that for Gintama. But like, it's not necessarily the ideal just to like have movies happen. Like they might not want to do that. So
I think it just seems to fit in terms of if you have because the anime is not going to cover till the end of the manga, like no chance.
Yeah.
Not with 16 episodes.
So they're going to have to do more, and I guess because I'm not going to spoil anything, but I can see reasons why people think a movie budget, enough adequate time put into it, would be the natural next step for a studio that wants the adaptation to be as good as it can be until the end.
Yeah, and I do think they could turn the last part into a movie. Like, I don't think it's unadaptable as a movie. I'm just not sure if there's any intention that they're making a movie. Like, I don't know if they've expressed interest in making a movie for it.
So
we don't even know if they'll like complete it all the way through. Like they might just leave it at like the rumor chapters like 122 or something.
Yeah.
They might just leave it there,
I would hope not. But I mean,
think they'd leave it there?
I hope they don't, but like the whole point it felt like that they wanted this to get out like at this moment was so that they would do something that's similar to like an Erased, right? Where the anime and the manga end at essentially the same time.
Yeah. There has been a precedent for that with like Erased, Your Lie in April, Scum's Wish, miniseries that are not this big, that are not,
Scum's Wish and Attack on Titan, I feel like are the most popular anime of all time.
Yeah, very comparable series, similar in scale, but yeah, it's like I'm not sure what they plan to do. I don't know if they definitely can't fit everything in that time, but I mean, I hope they would give it a full adaptation. Otherwise, I get the point, but like, what's the point? Like, if you're not going to adapt all of it.
They kind of just screwed themselves by announcing the final season without even knowing how far the manga would go.
God,
yeah, exactly.
Why back yourself into a corner when you don't have to? It's like it's guaranteeing a win.
Technically, I mean, if they do movies afterwards, it's not a season, so they still got this.
True.
Yeah,
Mom, just take my attorney license. You Good job finding that loophole.
Good job. And they can pull a Gintama and do the final season. Like, we really mean it. This is actually it season.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I hope we see the rest of it. There's a lot of other stuff coming that's dope. And
really?
It's been... Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe you would spoil Attack on Titan like that for me.
Okay. I gotta say, Cinerus and Panic last week thought I spoiled Attack on Titan by saying Zeke was interesting, but really what I was trying to cover up is that most people love Zeke more than me, and I don't want to go into saying that like I really like Zeke, but he's not like as high of a favorite. But in the process, it looked like I spoiled that, Zeke was gonna die this episode. And I'm like, guys, I'm telling you, he did. I'm not spoiling you.
Oh, like, I hope you don't get too attached to Zeke.
No, I didn't even say that.
You're like, I don't like him. I hope you don't get attached to him because, like, I really don't think he's that good of a character.
No, and it's like, I like Zeke, but I was like, oh yeah, Zeke's interesting. And that's the kind of thing where if someone's like, yo, Zeke is top 1, Zeke top 3, I'd be like, yeah, he's interesting, kind of like shrugging off that I don't agree. But they thought I was shrugging it off in a spoiler way. So I hope they were both happy that I didn't actually spoil them on Attack on Titan.
Man. I mean, AJ, have you watched K-On! Season 2 yet?
I have.
I was gonna say you shouldn't get too attached to Mugi, and it was gonna be a whole bit because I hate it when people are like, "Oh, I hope you don't get too attached to that character."
Oh yeah.
That's impossible. I love Moogie.
Who, what's worse, eating people or eating someone else's strawberry on top of their cake? It's really a toss-up for me.
Yeah, it's pretty close to bait. I don't know.
Pretty comparable.
I mean, on one, you're dead, and the other one, you have to live with the fact that someone just stole your strawberry off the cake for the rest of your life.
I was gonna make a really bad joke about how Willie was someone's strawberry in their life, like all his kids.
Oh, no.
Like I did the thing. So it's the same.
Moogie is Moogie. Just like, I must keep moving forward.
I just see Moogie with like Guts' sword, and I'm like, yes, this is peak slice of life.
Yeah, definitely the slicing of life happening there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is shaping up to be a good season. I'm still a little worried about how the production will be going down the line.
Mm-hmm.
When you see things like this happen, where like certain cuts look like they were rushed, maybe, or they weren't able to devote their full time to it. Sometimes it's a one-off, like the Haikyuu one, right? Like the Haikyuu one was essentially
the Haikyuu episode.
Yeah, that Haikyuu episode. Where the quality was a lot better afterwards. I was really nervous, but it returned to being really good after that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you have something like, I don't know, Citrus or Yuri on Ice, and then like this is a warning that's an indication of things to come.
Yeah. Well, not Citrus, fuck Citrus. Yuri on Ice was made by MAPPA too, so like I don't know.
Different people though.
Yeah, they are different people. Like, yeah, they have different teams working on them. And I know, like, a lot of people were saying, Jujutsu Kaisen looks great. Like, why are they putting all their eggs in that basket instead of Attack on Titan? And it's like, that's not how production studios work. It's not like they take the Jujutsu Kaisen eggs and they're like, okay, we're taking these all and none of them go to Attack on Titan. Like, that's just generally not how it works.
Because one, Jujutsu Kaisen is also popular. Number two, shut the fuck up. No one cares.
yeah. Like, we can't blame like another series by the same studio doing well. We can't blame them for any, mishaps or fumblings.
How dare you people who are hired to do your job on this not get hired to be on that team and do their work?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Sorry, I don't yell at the Nets when the Jets do poorly. Like that.
Pretty much. So. But, well, I was wondering, since we all know, except Maz, what do you think's gonna happen next episode?
People will die.
When they are killed?
People die when they are killed.
Yeah.
But are they gonna stay dead?
Yeah, hopefully.
Wow, Moz! Breaking news: Moz wants dead people to stay dead.
Well, there are two things that are always on my mind. Two things that, to my knowledge, are the main two things that we haven't seen yet, and those two things are Armin. Where is Armin? And also, where the hell is Annie? Have we ever seen Annie beyond season 1 at all?
Didn't someone talk to her? Didn't they show a thing of like Armin talking to her or whatever?
No.
I think that's in like season 3 or something.
That has not happened yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys were discussing well, really, I think it was just Shaw last episode, but you were talking about the sort of questionable soldier that was talking to Piek and the others, and I think that the obvious lead-in would be Armin being that, but also I did also consider Annie, and you kind of put it in my head that it could be Annie. So that's interesting. I am really interested. Like of all the things that Attack on Titan has followed up on, like they've given us everything. They've given us the origin of the Titans. They've given us the basement, but they still haven't given us the fate of Annie, and that is really weird to me. And I really want to know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Panic had some interesting predictions. He thought in the time skip that Mikasa would be married off to someone. So.
Well, that didn't happen. Sorry, Panic.
Well, she might. You don't know that. Did you see her left hand? Did you see a ring there or a lack thereof?
Well, I'm gonna assume that no. Yeah.
Gonna take a shot in the dark by saying, Aaron, you need to come home and stop killing civilians, meant that she's not married off.
Yes.
Just a shot in the dark.
You know what it was? In the adaptation, they cut out her next line. It's like, and you missed out on me and Jean's wedding. I can't believe you turned down the invite to pretend to be mentally ill in a war.
You were just hopping around without a leg instead of showing up to my wedding.
I know you didn't want to like dress up or whatever and like buy something off the registry, but you didn't have to go this far.
Yeah, so you have like a bit more realistic predictions than last week, Maz. So I commend you for that.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure what else would happen. Yeah, and also, where is my girl Hanj? Where is she? What's she doing? What's she up to? Is she even still in the force? She did kind of lose an eye last season, so
She did.
Yeah, not looking good. But yeah, would like to see her again.
Looking half as good.
There are before we end, there are a couple of minor points that I wanted to bring up. One of them is that I mentioned the kind of so I like how we've mentioned the parallels between past seasons and this one, like how the early episodes of this season were kind of like the early episodes of season 1, right? And how this is kind of like these guys' equivalent of the Colossal Titan, right? I thought it was interesting how we see the Survey Corps going in to attack all the soldiers in this place, and they have no idea what the hell to do. Because you kind of think about it, and yeah, it would be really hard to use your rifle on a literal flying person who's just flying through the air, maneuvering on all these wires. And I think that's a really interesting aspect of the series, where you have this really cool, weird, elaborate technology that is like the only way you could fight against these giant behemoths, because the difference in power is so great. That was really cool in season 1, and then season 3 we see it with Kenny, and it's like now you've got someone else that is using wires and fighting other people on wires, and it's like, that's cool. But now you just see the people on wires just fighting ordinary people, and it's like, all right, that's just not fair. That's just not fair. It's like for the first time we see how powerful this technology is. So that's cool.
Like they're Titans.
Is it bad? What's the general's name who was conspiring with Willie? I forget his name.
Magath.
Magath?
Yeah.
Okay, this like isn't funny, but I just thought it was funny. Where like everyone's freaking out around him, and then he shot a rifle.
He shot the bullet.
He's like, it doesn't matter, but I shot first. We're at war now, and I'm like, I appreciate the symbolism of this and like how important this is to you, but like, there's just two Titans beating the shit out of each other in front of us. Like, no one cares. Like, we're kind of busy. No one cares.
This guy definitely has like gone on Star Wars forums before, talking about the remastered editions of the original trilogy.
It translated better in the manga when you didn't have a CG Aaron just wailing on the Titan.
Right.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. How they could like dedicate the time necessary to be like, this is important, instead of like, this is going on in the background and no one cares.
And also, it's like the sound, because the sound design is good, but it's like this tiny little bullet going, and meanwhile, like Aaron's beating the shit out of that Titan.
Yeah, I love that. Like, he's like, it's not gonna make a difference, but like, war officially starting now, and it's like, okay, this is cool, but we're gonna have some people flying around, like beating, like shooting you guys, so might want to pack it up.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention again that it's like another parallel to the first wall going down in the first season, because like just like back then, like they were so helpless against those Titans, like these civilians are so helpless against the Survey Corps with their maneuver gear. Like they can't touch them. They can't do anything. All their weapons, all their training is worthless against these beings who are just like, nah, fuck you. You're all gonna die, and like maybe we'll feel a little bad. We like kind of regret it, but like we also kind of just have to do this. So
yeah, exactly. And it is an interesting progression from season 3, where they're like, we're used to killing Titans, but we're not used to killing people. And now it's like, yeah, no, you guys have to kill people. Sometimes children and civilians too. Like, you got to kill them all.
Yeah. Pretty fucked up how they just like killed an entire street of people right in front of Gabby, or I think it was Gabby.
And leave her alive.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, see ya later.
Yeah.
Sasha's like, okay, like I'll kill literally everyone around you, but you.
Yeah, like you're not holding a gun.
You have to live with the horrors and trauma of this, but I won't shoot you dead.
Enjoy.
You're welcome. Just forward me your therapy bill. I'm sure that'll be great.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to mention is that the last time I was on, I made a mistake by I didn't realize who the artist of the OP was, and I referred to them as a person because I just saw like the two words next to each other, and I just thought it looked like a name, but it's actually a band. It is a 3-piece band.
I thought you were going to say it was like an AI. I was like, how do you call them a person? Are they like a whale? Are they the Beast Titan? Or like what's going on? But they are a band. Okay.
Actually, a VTuber made the opening.
What's that?
A VTuber made the opening.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a very interesting band. I don't know. I've just been listening to their music for the last week or two, and they are quite strange.
They did the ending for season 2.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite Attack on Titan ending.
Isayama's one of his favorite bands, apparently.
Ooh,
that makes sense.
That's dope.
That's cool.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. OP still hitting. Love it.
Oh,
I skip it now because I have to like watch the episode quickly, but I still love the opening.
At first, I was like all right with the opening. I also like complained about the way it sounded earlier, but I thought it just seemed really weird how it was mixed together in this strange way. But then again, listening to the rest of the band stuff, it's like, oh, this is just like what they do, and I just really like the sort of kind of ethereal sound that this song has, and just like it's just such a weird song that I just like. Yeah. I like it's very unique and very characteristic of them, I guess, and I like it. AJ, what do you think about this OP?
So I don't think it's ever going to be something that's a favorite OP of mine. But I do like it, and it's the sort of thing again where I admire them doing something really creative and bold rather than going with the same sort of thing again and again. Because there's a ton of symbolism in there with everything being black, gray, and white, and then the explosions being rainbow colored. The glorification of war, the sort of absurdist soldiers marching, and all of that. So I really appreciate the messages it sends. Yeah. And I like the song too. The whole package is pretty interesting. So it's something I sort of appreciate a lot on a conceptual or I guess artistic level. Even if it's not one of my favorites ever, I'm not gonna constantly be replaying it. But I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like that they went with a different approach for the OP, because I feel like the season 3 part 2 opening was like that one kind of felt like a finale for all the openings because it kind of combined all of them together. But then this one, it's just like this one just feels like the world ending to me. It's just like everything is just fucked.
Yeah, and the ending I really love personally.
Me too.
I really like the way they went with that. It's nice.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, very aesthetic. Yeah, I think they did good with both because, like, as you said, if anyone was expecting, a Log Horizon type of opening that was really hype, if they were expecting that for this season, I don't think they were really paying attention to what we'd be getting. So I think it's really fitting. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I had to say for this episode. There was a lot to talk about, but a lot of just comes down to raw goat hype shit, which is fun. But did you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
I think I'm good.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty good. I'm just, it's so great to have our guest on this podcast. AJ, was it? Is there a place where, you do well on here? Is there a place where you share your thoughts, maybe on Twitter or maybe on YouTube if you have a channel, let's say,
very underappreciated person. I'm sure no one has heard of him.
Yeah, I occasionally talk about some stories I like on my YouTube channel, just once in a while for fun.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And people can find you also on Aleczandxr on Twitter, but
good luck with that spelling.
Yeah, ALECCANDXR.
And we will link it below.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, Your videos are so awesome. If only there was a way to like sign up for like a service where you could like find out your schedule
Oh
for
God.
the videos that are coming out and like the progress of certain things. Maybe like someone could be like a patron or something and have different tiers where you can find out different levels of it. I think people want that. I think people, if you're listening here on chat, if you like some of the stuff that's been said, 100% like check out AG's channel. It's awesome, and check out his Patreon as well. I mean, I get those newsletters every month. It's awesome.
I do.
Thank you.
I appreciate how organized it is. It could never be me with my real life, but I admire it.
The illusion of organization.
That's really
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for joining us. We had a great time talking to you. Thank you to everyone who listened in. Thank you to everyone who listens in every week. We will be back next week, probably around the same time, maybe a bit earlier. But we'll keep you posted. So thank you, AJ. Thank you, Maz. Thank you, Tay. And thanks, everyone. So hope you guys have a good night. And
keep moving forward.
Moving forward until the next episode.
Keep moving forward.
And that's a wrap. Night.
Nice.
Good night.
Cool.
Good night, Maz.